Hi, welcome to Parenting and Teaching with Richie Huffman. I'm Richie Huffman, President and CEO of Celebrate Preschools. On these podcasts, we'll be talking to real parents, teachers about what's going on at home, in the classroom, and everything in between. I hope you find these conversations informative, helpful, sometimes funny, and sometimes serious. So let's go ahead and get started. Hey, I'm Richie.
And this is Allie. Welcome back.
Thanks.
So today we are talking about the Million Fathers March. And today our guest is Chelsea Davies.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thanks.
So excited to have you today. So a little background on how I met Chelsea is I was at a Harford County Public Schools gala, and I saw her speak, and her story inspired me to bring her here on our podcast and share it with Richie and talk more in depth about it, and also share with our listeners the amazing things that this program has to offer. So Chelsea, give us a little bit of background on what you do, where you work, kind of what your role is in education, and then we'll kind of dig a little deeper into what the big purpose is here.
Okay. I am a Title I teacher specialist with Harford County Public Schools. I work at Bakerfield Elementary in Aberdeen. So as a Title I teacher specialist, I kind of do a lot of different things. I teach half a day, and then the rest of my day, I uphold the Title I grant. So I'm making sure all the compliance and things like that are taken care of. But another big part of it is family engagement. So I do a lot of work with our families, educating them on their importance of being involved, how to be involved, how to work with their kids at home, kind of teaching them some of the things that we're learning at school so they can support their child at home. And part of that came up with the Million Fathers March.
So what is Title I? Can we back up a little bit? I don't know if that's is that a national term? Is that a Maryland term? Let's bring people up to speed on what that means.
So Title I is a federal program. We get a grant from the federal government because we have a high percentage of students who have free and reduced meals, meaning that they are living in poverty. So Bakerfield itself is about 70% free and reduced meals. There's 8 schools in Harford County, and we are number 7 out of the 8 in terms of percentages.
So what percentage do you need to hit in order to qualify for Title I?
The government rate is 75%.
Okay, gotcha. Interesting. So let's move into Million Fathers March then, because it's what inspired me to bring you here and talk about it, because I think it's so amazing. And it's a national program, right?
Yes.
So where did that start then with you in terms of your school?
So we had a teacher who used to work at Bakerfield and then has since moved to the Eastern Shore and teaches there. And she had posted on social media, her school had done it. And they had some dads walk their children to school on the first day. And we're like, this is pretty cool. And we sat down to talk about it as a school team. We reached out to the Million Fathers March website. It's a national organization through the Black Star Project. And they sent us all of this information. We're like, okay, well, let's try to make it our own. And we really wanted it to be meaningful. There was a national Million Fathers March. It's usually in the end of September. We needed to build some momentum. So we sat down and we said, we'd like to get 3 dads to come in and meet with us and talk about what this could look like for Bakerfield. So we thought about 3 different dads who come to things, they talk to the people in the community, and they came in, they met with myself, my principal, and our coordinator of Title I. And we said, what could we do with this? We read through all of the information, and it really speaks to the importance of male involvement. There's a lot of research that indicates when a dad or a male role model, didn't have to be a dad, was involved, kids do better academically, socially, they do better. They're less likely to get in trouble. They just overall have a better outlook on life. And we wanted to bring that in. We noticed as a school, moms are mostly coming to things, or grandmothers or grandparents. We didn't see like a high male presence in our school.
Is that everywhere, like arriving at school, picking up, back to school nights, things like that you were noticing?
And I think it's typical. Moms do a lot of things. They are the ones who come to school and drop off. So we decided that we wanted to host an event just for dads. So we did something last January. It was Pop-Tarts with Pops, and we offered Pop-Tarts, and they got to come in, and we did a STEM activity. And we just talked to the dads about, hey, this is why it's really important that you're here. And just by showing up, you're doing something. And instead of me talking to the families, my 3 dads did. And they shared why it's so important and meaningful to them. Gave the dads some other ways they could be involved. And then that's when we started to build momentum for the Million Father March. Hey, we're looking to do this. If you could just sign up to pledge just to be present on the first day of school. That's all we're asking. And it grew throughout the entire year. We had a goal for 200 people, and we had 175.
Wow, good job.
Yeah, for his first year.
That was amazing.
Did you get a good turnout for Pop-Tarts with Pops?
Yeah, so we had about 200 people. That included adults and students.
Wow.
We just did one last Friday, pastries with Pops, and it was about the same turnout, 200 family. 200
Then do you
people.
do that on a weekend or is that a school day?
It's a school day. We did it on a Friday morning. We're close to Aberdeen Proving Ground, so we do have a lot of parents who work in the government, and Fridays are a little bit more flexible for them. But it's not just the dads that came, grandfathers, uncles. Some students had more than one male show up for them, which was really cool.
That's so cool.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that it's more moms than dads that are involved?
I mean,
I'm just sitting here as a dad going, am I involved enough here? Like, am I doing a good job as a dad?
I even thought as myself, I was like, yeah, my mom did everything growing up. And it's not that my dad wasn't involved. He was just busy, and he would help with homework and things like that. But he never came to school events. And I watched my husband with my son. I'm like, okay, they've got like a good thing going on. Like, they do their own thing, like father and son. But I think maybe it's just like the nature of the mom. You just want to do it all.
Maybe. Yeah.
It's kind of just like how it's been. The moms do a lot. And it's important for the dads to know. It's just as important for you to be involved as it is as me, the mom. And there's a lot of research that shows why it is so important.
And you say the word involved, but dig a little deeper into that in terms of what does that look like? Does it just mean showing up? Maybe it does for a place like your school where it's hard to get them there at all, but are you trying to push reading to them or coming to school events? Like, what is the actual mission of the entire Million Fathers March in terms of what involvement means?
So the mission is just it doesn't have to be showing up to school. And that's something that we've started to look at. Not everyone can come to a school event. I work full time. It's hard for me to come to every school event that my son has. Being involved could be reading at home, playing a game, doing something outside. It's just spending quality time together where they can learn things from their father or male role model that you can't get from your mom.
Yeah, I'm sitting there thinking, because sometimes I think dads get faked out a little bit, right? We think just because we're standing on the sidelines watching a lacrosse game or watching the basketball game, we think that is supporting or creating a relationship, and it really isn't.
Yeah,
right?
like you weren't the one who cut up the fruit and brought it that day and passed it out, right?
But there
it's a little different in being involved that way, right?
There's not that opportunity to have that enriched conversation that takes place, as you said, if you're playing a board game. I remember like last night, my 15-year-old, I'm getting ready to take a shower, and he says, Dad, can I lay with you for a little bit? I'm like, But that was his way of just really reaching out and saying, I miss you, right? And I want to have a meaningful conversation with you. So we laid in bed for like 20 minutes, and it was just awesome. We talked about everything. But that's, at the moment, I thought that's what he needed, but really that's what I needed.
And I think cell phones make it really tough. And we always put real small at the bottom of our presentations. We kindly ask that you refrain from cell phone use, because parents will come and cell phones are hard and they're on their phone and their kid's doing something. We just want quality time together. So at each breakfast, we offered a STEM activity. This one, they had to build the tallest tower they could out of candy canes and pipe cleaners. And to see the dads having just as much fun as the kids was really cool. And they came up with some unique creations, and it was quality time they spent together talking and working.
I'd like to go back and survey those kids and see if those relationships continued after those types of events.
And that was something that we honestly just talked about in our car ride over.
Right?
We would like to survey at the end of the year and say, like, did you actually see a meaningful impact from the things that we've been doing? We started something new this year to kind of keep the involvement going, because the Million Father March was a big deal on the first day of school, and they cheered the kids and they walked them to their classroom and got them settled on the first day. So we tried something called the Smile Makers program, and we asked for any male role model to volunteer to be present during arrival. So between 9 to 9:30 when the kids are coming off the bus or the car, and just saying, good morning, hey, hope you have a great day, giving them a high five and just putting a smile on their face. So we've done it 2 Fridays so far. We've had a great turnout, and the kids are really happy. WMAR just did a story on it earlier in the week, and so you can look it up and you can hear the kids' perspectives, and they say why it's important for them, and they realize that some kids are sad because their dads aren't around, And to have someone else come and say, hey, good morning, hope you have a great day, kind of fills that void a little bit.
Yeah, it's awesome. Is this what has kept you in a Title I? Because I know a lot of teachers that don't make it.
I just always liked that population. I always wanted to work in an area like that. I felt like there's a lot to give, and the kids really needed me. And so I really enjoy working in that environment. But this male involvement stuff has really grown way farther than I ever thought it would. We had this idea. We were just going to do this march on the first day of school, and it's really ballooning into something big. And I'm glad that we're able to share kind of why we're doing it and why it is so important, because I think everyone needs to hear it regardless of what school or area you're in. Male involvement is important.
I agree. You must have a very supportive principal.
She is very supportive. Her and then my coordinator of Title I, we've all kind of spearheaded this together as like the leadership. And then the parents are really the driving force. Like, we'll have a meeting and say, okay, what do you think we should do next? You're the dads in the area. What do you think our families want? And we've done some surveys. Like, here are the ideas we've come up with. Are you interested in any of these? Do you have a different idea? So Smile Makers was the big one that we've started. We've asked dads to come in and volunteer in the cafeteria and just talk to the kids while they're eating, or come to field day when we're doing, athletic or sporting events, and participate in a station, not as a spectator, but do something with the kids.
So how did your march, I'm trying to visualize kind of how your march looked that day, because I'm picturing the kids that didn't have dads there. So did you kind of prepare them up? Did the kids get off the bus and you started school late that day? What did that event look like?
The march started before school, so about 45 minutes before school, because we walked through the town of Aberdeen.
Cool.
So Aberdeen High School is kind of in our backyard, and we met there, and we had different stops along the way where people could meet us. If you were in the walking area, you might meet us at stop 1.
Oh, okay.
Or if you couldn't walk very far, you might meet us at stop 2. And so everyone kind of went in the front door. There was a lot of men there who weren't necessarily parents. We had community members. We had people from the school system come. We encouraged all of them to stand outside and greet and cheer on those kids who couldn't participate in the march. So everyone reaped the benefits.
So was it all the kids at your school then, basically?
The kids who had a parent walked, or a role model, walked through the town with them. Anyone who rode the bus was greeted by the rest of the men that were there. We had a good crowd stay outside.
How many kids do you have at your school?
About 400, a little more than 400.
So you walked all 400 through?
About, I'd say it was maybe 100 kids walked through the town of Aberdeen.
Okay.
The rest of them met at when school started.
Okay,
they got off the buses.
Because they had the typical people to walk them in anyway, so it was kind of the kids that didn't have someone. Wow, that's amazing.
It was really cool.
That sounds really chaotic on the first day of school too. I'm sure that made people nervous. As a teacher, I'm like cringing because it sounds terrifying, but it's also so amazing.
I think it said something.
For sure.
It was a little crazy. And we're like, as a teacher on the first day of school,
and there's enough going on.
And I'm going to have these parents walk their child down, and they're going to stay in your classroom for the first half hour.
Yeah.
But everyone was really respectful. The dads walked them down. They got their kids settled. They came up. Some stayed for breakfast, and we, just thanked them and talked about why it's so important. Some went on their way to work. Some stayed outside the whole time to greet every kid that walked in the building.
Cool. So it's in the works to happen again next year?
I think we're going to do it every year on the first day of school.
Very cool. I like the idea of doing it on the first day. It's like adds that. It's chaos probably, but like a good kind of chaos.
And that was kind of where we went away from what the Million Father March organization is doing. Their march this year was September 28th.
Yeah, right.
And we felt like it wasn't as impactful after school's already started. We want you here on the first day, and we want you to keep coming back. And it was just to get everyone to feel welcome. Not everyone likes to come to school. Maybe they didn't always have the most positive experience. Come, we're, and welcoming and showing them, hey, this is a cool place to be. It's okay to come back again.
Yeah. And so you guys wrote a grant for this through, and that's kind of how I met you, which is how you got some funds for it. But I can also see the whole thing working with schools who maybe don't have the opportunity to get a grant because it doesn't sound expensive to walk, right?
No. The grant came in. One of the dads thought it'd been really cool if we all had matching t-shirts when we walked through the town of Aberdeen. We're like, okay. And we talked about it, and he went home that night and designed the t-shirt and sent it to us. We're like, okay, we're going to make this happen.
Wow.
So we wrote some grants. We didn't want parents to have to pay for them. So if you signed up, you got a free t-shirt.
Cool.
And everyone who volunteered that day had a t-shirt when we walked through the town of Aberdeen.
Cool.
We got some feedback like, hey, I drove by, or I saw you hanging up your balloons, and it was really cool.
Is there a way that you're helping dads in addition to these larger events like the Pop-Tarts event and the pastries that you're doing to help more support at home? Like, are there resources you're providing them? Like, what about the people who this hasn't maybe touched yet?
So we use social media a lot to get our messages out because like I said, not everyone can come to things at school. We also created a brochure, and that was with the help of the dads. When we brainstormed, what are some ways you can be involved, or why is this so important? And that got sent home to everybody.
Okay.
So they get that information. When we offer events, if they can't make it, the materials can always be sent home because we know it's not possible to come to school for everything.
Right. So I know the website we can obviously look you up on Smile Makers, and I know the website for the Million Fathers March is amazing too. I went on it yesterday just to look at it kind of from a broader picture, and there's literally a button that says like, sign your school up now.
Yeah.
So I think it's super awesome that people can literally log in and this can just happen for any school. So what's kind of the process of that if somebody's interested in doing this, if a teacher's listening?
If you go on the Million Father March website, there is a drop-down menu. It says contact us, and you just send them an email that you're interested. They got back to us within a day or two and sent us all of these resources that they had to get it started. There was a document like, get a march started in a week in your school.
Oh my goodness.
And at first that sounded very enticing. Like, I think we need to build this up a little bit more so people understand the importance of it. But they gave pledge sheets and flyers and posters that you could make. Everything was there.
That you literally just copied. Wow.
That you could do. And we tweaked some of the stuff to make it our own because we knew our population and our community and what would work best for them. But it was very simple.
Wow.
Is the PTA involved in this?
We have a booster club. So a lot of the parents, they do come and support the event, but we don't have a very active booster club, so they can't financially support us, but they show up and support us that way.
So who's writing the grant?
I wrote the grant to the Hartford County Education Foundation, and they donated us some money. And then I wrote some grants to some other local community agencies. We wanted it to be in the Aberdeen area, helping the Aberdeen area.
Gotcha.
And then all of those people came and supported the march that day. So they got to see what their grant did.
Okay.
What was the most challenging part of the whole event if somebody's kind of getting into this? Because in my head as a teacher, I'm picturing it having all of those people in your school. Was it the sign-in part? Like, looking back, what's the most challenging?
The logistics probably was the most challenging, and figuring out, okay, we're inviting all of these people. Where are they going to park? Because our parking lot's only so big. How are we going to sign them in so that we know who's who and where they're going? So I wrote a letter because it was the first day of school. So how am I going to reach these parents before then? I wrote a letter and I sent it out to everyone that had volunteered so that they could get the message ahead of time. We also talked about it at back to school night, which happened prior to the first day. And then with the sign-ins, like, we can't clog up the hallway. So we had them sign in at their child's classroom. So then they were kind of like dispersed that way and not clogging up in the lobby. If you weren't going to the classroom, then you stayed outside.
Okay.
We had tables outside, so if you were a day of person who was going to volunteer, kind of like if you were running a race and you wanted to sign up that day, I had a table outside so I could get your contact information. Yeah. So I knew who you were here to support. If I wanted to contact you again, how could I reach you? That sort of thing.
Yeah, good tips for someone who's looking into this.
I'd say the logistics were the most challenging part. Organizing it wasn't hard. Getting the people excited about it, that wasn't hard.
What's the biggest struggle right now?
I think the biggest struggle right now is looking at how are we going to reach the people who we haven't reached yet? Like, how do I get that dad who I know hasn't come to anything and I want them to be involved? And that's kind of where having my 3 dads who are parents at the school present and talk about things, I think that comes along a little bit. They'll mingle at events and go and talk to dads and try to get them to sign up for things. And I think using them is a lot more powerful than me. I can't bring the male perspective. They have a whole different perspective that I don't have. I'm a girl. I don't have that background. But trying to figure that out and getting parents to understand it's okay if it's not the dad, if it's the grandfather or the uncle or the stepdad. It doesn't matter. The research showed, and I thought it was really important to share this, it didn't even have to be that the dad lived in the same house as the child. As long as there was some sort of meaningful involvement, that made such an impact. And I thought that was important to share because not all of our kids live in the traditional family where there's the mom and the dad and the siblings. There's, divorces or they live with a whole bunch of people.
Right.
So just understanding it's just being there.
Someone in that life. Do you have male teachers at your school?
We have 2 male phys ed teachers.
Okay.
And a band teacher.
Those are
That's it.
Those
Sounds about right.
Those are good for phys ed though, because that tends to be kids' favorite part of their day. And if those are males, then that's definitely a positive. Are they heavily involved with all of this too?
Well, one of the phys ed teachers is my brother.
Oh, oh my gosh.
That worked out. He's at my school part-time, and he works at another Title I school the rest
he's
of the
a half,
days.
0.5.
So yes, it's very easy to get him involved in things. The other PE teacher is a father, and so he understands, why it's so important. And he participated in the march, and he'll come to events. There was an event last year, and a child's father had just recently passed away, and they were going to come to the event, and so he was going to go and sit with them and kind of hang with them because he knew it was going to be tough.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to kind of have that compassion there.
Yeah.
How many boys are we talking about in your school?
Ooh.
Roughly.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's about half. So if we have like 420
That's
students,
a lot
about
of boys.
210.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So, but are we focusing just on not necessarily just boys, right? I mean, maybe you think of them being important because they kind of need that like dad relationship, but it's girls too, right?
Yeah, it is girls. And the 3 dads that I worked with really wanted to make sure that was known. So the image we originally chose for our t-shirt was a dad and a son walking hand in hand. And one of the dads goes, well, I want a daughter to be in there too, because we are including them.
Yeah.
And all of the dads that I work with have a daughter, at least a daughter and a son. So I think they could all relate. Like, we want the girls to be included too.
Yeah.
And we had talked about doing like a daddy-daughter dance. We don't want the boys to be left out. And so they came up with some other creative name where it's like the dads bring their kids and we'll have a dance. That's going to be later in the year. It's a Booster Club funded event, but they're kind of jumping in to support that initiative that way.
How have the moms been? Do they like kind of want to be involved too, just out of nature? I'm like picturing them being like, can we come? No.
We talked about that. Like, we can't leave the moms out and not make them feel important. And I did have a couple moms say, can I come to the Million Father March? So I'm not going to tell you no, but it is an event where we're trying to promote male involvement.
Right.
So there were a couple moms along the way just to take the pictures. It's the first day of school.
Right.
You have to get those perfect pictures. There were some moms waiting for us when we got there, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you. Family involvement is important.
I would not see moms arguing over this because they want to give some of this response, right? They want to,
That's true.
right?
Yeah.
There's no arguments here
Yeah.
with this. Right.
And it's funny, like at conference day, I had the sign-up sheets for my Smile Makers, and the moms would be like, oh, this is for you. This is for you.
Oh,
to
that's
sign up
awesome.
for."
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he'll do this.
Exactly.
That sort of thing.
Because I'm sure you still have like muffins with moms and that kind of
all
stuff.
that
Anyways,
stuff. We
this is
still
just
do.
adding. Yeah, I'm looking back. I feel like it's just donuts with dads you do during the year.
Right.
And so
We're
makes me
trying to
wish I
take
did
Donuts
more.
with Dads to a new level. We
Yeah.
still have Donuts with Dads, and they come in and they read. And that event is just to spend quality time. I'm not talking to you about the importance to be involved like I am at some of these other events when my
Right.
dads are presenting, and they're really sharing their mission and vision and why this is so important to them.
What does success look like for you?
I think
With all
success
this?
looks like just having the men continue to be involved, and we'd like it to grow to a point where they're going to do something kind of related a little bit more closely with the academics. Like, could you be a guest reader? Or if we have a family event, could you run a station? So kind of taking it to the next level, but I think that's going to take time. We're just getting people in and feeling comfortable with being in the school, and then we'll kind of grow it from there.
and hopefully grow those 3 dads too, right? Because eventually their kids won't be there, and you need that kind of
Yeah.
to keep going with more people who are valuable.
We've had a couple dads who've signed up to be a Smile Maker every single Friday. So
Aw.
they're now showing up every Friday, where I think they could start to kind of grow into this group that's helping us get the message out.
Yeah, how young are their kids? You got a lot of years left with them?
First grade, and one that's not even in school
Okay,
yet.
good. I think of like the amazing PTA president who was a 5th grader, and everyone's like, she's leaving.
Yeah. My 3 dads all have
Little ones.
I think they all have a kid in 5th grade right now. They do have some
But they had
some
younger ones.
that will
Okay.
keep them around
Good.
a little bit more. But I think at my last event, I said, raise your hand if you participated in the Million Father March. And it was more than half of the crowd that was there.
That's awesome.
So that showed me I met half of that group. There's still a whole other group that I could get involved with this.
Yeah, I'm
But
sure you'll meet your goal number next year.
They're hearing the message.
Yeah, it sounds like you're doing fantastic things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming in today.
Thank
And thank you for all the good work that you're doing.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and
you
if
very
any
much.
teachers or parents out there are interested more in the Million Fathers March, the website is www.millionfathersmarch.com. So check it out.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today on Parenting and Teaching with Richie Huffman.
Thanks for tuning in. And remember, childhood only comes this way but once.
For more information, head on over to richiehuffman.com.
I'm Richie,
And I'm Allie.
and we look forward to seeing you again on another podcast.